are ready, Mr. Chair.
Back up, come to order. Vice Chair Paquette, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I like that word, indivisible.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Today's roll call: Smith,
Here.
Hamdahl,
Here.
Paquette,
Here.
Hughes,
Here.
Brown. Oh, sorry, she's still on the list. Sorry, Lawrence
Here.
and Chair Jaffa.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Citizen comments, any subject, except those that are on the schedule for public hearing. We have a pretty nice turnout. Thank you all for coming out. Anybody have something you want to talk about right away?
She's got a list.
You do?
Mr. Chair, the first person signed in is Phil Palooza.
Mr. Chairman, Board, I think a bunch of you know me, but my name is Phil Palooza.
If you don't mind, could we wait? You want to talk over? Okay.
Hi, my name is Phil Palooza. I'm a resident here in Seward. And I'm here today to, I guess, support my little proposal on doing something with heat pumps. I'm not here to sell you a heat pump. I'm retired. I'm here because I believe climate change is the problem. And I think every community needs to be doing something to address that. And I think here in Seward, we're in an environment where heat pumps actually can play a very important part in resolving some of our issues with cutting down on burning oil. So I began a couple years ago wanting to do 2,000 heat pumps, as you may all recall. Well, I was suggesting maybe I should downsize that a little bit, so my latest proposal was 50. Well, that's 1,950 less than what I was hoping for, but it's a start. So I really hope you had an opportunity to kind of go over my very lengthy letter, a bunch of my ideas. And I'm hoping you as a board, advisory board, could kind of help me move this along. Thank you.
Next, Mr. Chair, is Casey Warner.
Hi, my name is Casey Warner. I'm in town. I'm here to speak with you guys about the heat loop project. I believe it was a couple years ago, maybe around 2015-17, there was a grant that was accepted by the current council at that time to be able to start exploring some of the options of doing a heat loop down by the Branson Pavilion into the library is where the main system would have been held. I feel that that project has kind of fallen to the wayside. However, I did see that at the December 13th City Council meeting, it was on the city improvement plan for 2023. We've just started 2022. We've got about a year-ish or so that's going to go pretty fast. So I want to make sure that this heat loop project is staying at the forefront of everybody's mind. I also, I'm not sure where it stands, but I believe there was some conversation that the city was going to be accessing a grant writer to help secure some of the funds coming down from the federal government. In there's some talk of some sustainable projects funding, and I would really like the city to take the time and go after some of those fundings to be to ensure that we get that heat loop project accomplished. So, thank you.
Mr. Chair, next is Cindy Eklund.
Cindy Eklund, in town, Borough Assembly member, past planning and zoning commission for the city. And I got a call from Chair Jaffa yesterday as I was headed to the assembly meeting regarding residential properties and finding some more residential properties, and that the PAC had been tasked with looking at that. So I brought a couple maps back that I got from Marcus Mueller with some properties, and I did want to mention that while I was on planning and zoning within the last year, we had to review and update the municipal lands inventory plan. And in there, we designated the Nash Road bench. We recommended to council that you adopt that we find 40 acres up there to classify as residential. And then below that, there is an old road going up, but below that, there's a 10-acre parcel that was used in the past for sludge from the solid waste sewer lagoon, and it had to sit for 10 years. It's past that 10-year time, so that's down lower on the flat part of the properties and could be turned into a commercial, possibly a commercial designation, so that there could be some commercial economic development for the SMIC area and then that residential land up above. Just want to make you aware of that, and I'm sure you could all get a copy of the municipal lands management plan from the clerk or online. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, last signed in is Laurie Landstrom.
Hi, Laurie Landstrom. I live outside the city. I've lived in Seward about 19 years. I am a founding member of Sustainable Seward, a local group here in town, but I'm speaking today as only myself, not representing Sustainable Seward. A couple things I just want to briefly touch on. I totally support Mr. Kaluza's heat pump rebate program. This group passed it in May of 19, passed the resolution. I don't know what happened to it then, other than it didn't make it to council or through council. I urge you to, take a strong look at that. I believe he lays out the economics quite well in his letter. So that's topic number one. Topic number two is I encourage the city to move forward with the geothermal heat loop project. Both of these two heat pump heat loops are related, as it saves the city diesel, it saves homeowners diesel, and that means saving money. Number three is a program called CPACE, capital C hyphen capital PACE. It is a piece of legislation that Alaska passed in 2017. It is a program that allowed businesses to get low-interest loans to make energy-efficient and clean energy improvements to their commercial properties. Anchorage recently passed the legislation to enact it locally, the Kenai Peninsula Borough Resilience and Security Advisory Commission is working with our Assembly Rep, Cindy Eklund, to get the borough ordinance written and enacted, and there's more to come on that. Matsu and Juneau are also right now working to get it passed through at their borough level. I don't know whether it would have to also be passed through at the city level, but more on that. Fourth topic real quick. Some of you know, I know our harbor master knows about it. A couple other people have met with Patrick Simpson, an Anchorage engineer, who has gotten his Phase 2 EPA Small Business Innovation Grant money to turn plastic ocean waste and number 2 and number 5 residential waste into lumber. He got his Phase 2 money, which means he will be doing a pilot project here in Seward this summer. He is currently in New York buying that equipment as I stand here today. So Sustainable Seward has been working with him, working with the borough to take some of the number 2 plastics that we collect at our Seward transfer site and put that in along with the ocean waste that has been collected in various plastic numbers. Turn into dunnage is basically what he's got. I can't remember what. Okay, I'll stop.
Thank you.
We don't have anyone else signed in.
If you had something to add to that, I'd give you a little extra time.
I just had one more topic, briefly.
If there's no objection, the board.
Briefly touching, I just wonder, so Mr. Simpson's project is really exciting to me, and I think it could be beneficial and could just be another feather in the cap here for Seward, doing innovative things. Last topic, just briefly, have we had a conversation, can we start a conversation about, and I know electrical rates are incredibly contentious in this town, but specific rates for owners of electric vehicle charging stations.
Thank you. Anybody who hadn't signed up that, okay, thank you. Approval of the agenda, and consent agenda. We have a couple items that clerk could.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, there's a motion made, seconded to approve the consent agenda and the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh.
Any changes
Well,
to?
clerk read the roll.
Fine. Are there any changes to the agenda? Okay. Voting on the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Homdahl?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Paquette?
Yes.
Hughes?
Yes.
Chair Jaffa?
Yes.
Thank you. Your agenda and consent agenda are approved, and approved on your consent agenda are October 6th, 2021 regular meeting minutes.
All right. Special order presentations reports. We have the administration report. We don't have any proclamations or awards, so would the administration have a report?
No, sir.
No report. So I know Mayor Terry told me that she will not be here today. She did have a meeting with economic development, and she apologized for that, but her report is in the packet. Chamber? We have a chamber?
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hiding in the back. Awesome. My name is Kat. I'm the new chamber executive director. And the first thing I'm going to do is hand you some of these to pass down. These are our Seward Marine Industry Guide. We got them printed for the Pacific Marine Expo down in Seattle. So I'm going to catch up there. So I wanted to make sure you guys got a couple copies. Oh, grab these on.
You get 'em?
And then I only have 2 copies of this to share, and I need them back, but it's the new Seward Visitor Guide for 2022. So if you guys want to pass that along and check some things out, those are 2 big publications that we got in and printed, which we're super excited about. The Marine Guide was a big hit down in Pacific Marine Expo and has been really exciting to share with people hoping to come to Seward or thinking about coming to Seward to work on different marine industry aspects. Some of the highlights in it are pages about AvTech, SMIC, JAG, seafood, and then my favorite part, and one that we also were able to put into the Seward Visitor Guide this year, is a map we designed of the harbor, so that when people come into the visitor center or go online, we have a really clear, easy to utilize map of the Seward Boat Harbor that I cannot find. Oh, it's on page 6. So that's a really exciting tool that we have both for visitors and people hoping to come down for the marine industry. If you guys want to pick up some copies, we have tons in the visitor center now, and we'll be distributing them appropriately over the course of the next few months. So with that, some other updates. We're also working with the City of Seward to provide branding and photography for legislative priorities. We worked really hard to create a really good brand for Visit Seward and the Seward Chamber of Commerce, and are excited to share that with the city to kind of put forth a cohesive and uniform brand when thinking about Seward, both at a visitor, worker, home, or legislative scale. So we're being as helpful as we can with branding, fonts, imagery, even down to the hex codes for our colors. And our contractor is working on that with them. I'm also working with you guys, PACAB, to discuss barriers to entry on businesses and to understand the importance of workers on visas. And versus doing a broad swath survey for that, I've been working on individual interviews and case studies to kind of have more information to bring to the work session next week about that, calling both longtime business owners and new business owners and discussing with them the barriers to entry. So that's something that we've been working on to help you guys in your next work session. In the next couple days or weeks, Kellyanne Cabaretta will be situated in the Stewart Chamber of Commerce office in her new SBDC position. She's available for meetings with small businesses, potential small businesses, and is just going to be on hand to foster growth. This is a program through UAA and SBDC, and will help with job creation and helping existing businesses use assistance to grow and expand. We're really excited about that. I was clearing out our office all morning. We have a lot of sweatshirts that we've been storing in there. Oh no, she's coming tomorrow. We're also working close with the Seward Polar Bear Jump, which is on January 15th. We have some staff members jumping, which is really exciting, and raising funds for the American Cancer Society, and also helping to promote that weekend, all the different events, and being on hand and volunteering for those events. It's such a cool event to have in Seward year after year, and we're excited to see it come back in full force post-COVID. We are working with UAF and the Seward Marine Center to sponsor and assist with the Tsunami Bowl for 2022. We'll be providing information for those visitors, which is usually about 100 or so students from across the state who come down and show us how smart they are. I volunteered with it for 2 or 3 years now, and it's always really impressive. So we're excited to help with that, with logistics and making sure that everybody knows where to go and what's open while there. Then moving forward throughout the winter, we're working on a few weekend attractions and events. Specifically a February one to have people be excited to come and celebrate Valentine's Day in Seward. And we just did fireworks. I want to take a second to thank Norm and the fire department for being on hand, or Norm's staff and the fire department for being on hand on New Year's Eve. It was really windy and a bit nerve-wracking when you think about shooting fireworks up in the air, but everything was done really well, and we had a lot of people there to make sure nothing went wrong. After this meeting, I'm heading down over to Kenai to help with the Industry Outlook Forum. We've had that meeting here, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and it's a really great opportunity to kind of have a pulse of what's going on in the Kenai Peninsula, and it's hosted by the Kenai Peninsula Economic Development District, so I'm excited to go over to that, and we'll report back if anybody is also joining. Say hi to me tomorrow. We've been doing some building maintenance at the chamber. We painted a room in the back that was bright red, a nice white, so we're looking forward to having people come in and see the renovations that we've been doing and putting more local artists on the walls. And then Shop Small Weekend, which was last year, seems like forever ago, brought over 40 businesses and artists, makers, food and beverage lodging providers together. We partnered with different groups and vendors and had everybody out shopping local and supporting local, and saw over 250 unique shoppers entering our raffles over the weekend, which is pretty high numbers, and we heard some great feedback. We have also been working with Datafy, which is a company that uses proprietary and public source opt-in data, so your cell phones when you say yes or I agree, to give us data about our visitors and seasonality and things like that. So I wanted to give you a little bit of preview of that on the report. It's really high-end data that we get from cell phones. We're working on tweaking it right now, since Seward's a unique case with seasonal tourism, weekend tourism, and a lot of, what's the word I am blanking on, seasonal employees. So we're filtering those out so that we can have a seasonal employee sector, but this is just a sneak peek of kind of the data we'll be able to see with that based off of extrapolated cell phone data. And you'll see here that there's 33% repeat visitors to Seward versus 67% new time visitors to Seward. And then the trend of those visitors, you'll see over the course of 2018 to 2020 has vacillated pretty dramatically towards repeat visitors in 2020, and then evened out again in 2021. So this is kind of some cool data that we can see. Like, we are getting those repeat people who come down for their 2-night trip from Anchorage or over from Kenai, and are using that to market more effectively towards them, and also figure out how we get more one-time visitors to come and increase those numbers. So overall, working on a lot of cool things and projects in the off season. There is no off season, and hoping to continue forward into 2022. I'm super excited to be in this role, and really excited to have just completed my first report to you guys. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Vice Chair, okay.
Do you have any numbers on, hang on a second, I had it and then it left me. All right, it'll come back, I'll have to come back to it later.
Board Member Holdo.
I had a question about the small business position
I
that's going
remember.
to be there.
Yeah.
Is that all for our community, or are we sharing that position full-time here?
It's full-time in Stewart.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so she'll be based out of our office. It's probably about 70% in office, 30% going to meetings and being involved in the community, and just generally here for Stewart businesses and people who want to start Stewart businesses.
Awesome, and congratulations and welcome to the role.
Thank you.
My question was, do we have a number of how long people are staying? 1 night, 2 night, 3 night?
So like I said, I'm still working on making this data as accurate as possible based off of our situation. But the general average is about 2 to 3 nights of people staying in Seward, which I think you can kind of see, we see in the visitor center with people calling and asking about their trips. They come, they spend 1 day on the boat, 1 day fishing, 1 day hanging out downtown, and then they move on to their next Alaska destination. But I will say that the data on that might be a little bit skewed because we do have the higher number of seasonal employees that is within that same group. So it's skewing it larger, so I don't want to give you a firm answer on that until the data is 100% trustworthy.
Board Member Lawrence.
Curious what the date is for the Tsunami Bowl.
The Tsunami Bowl is February 5th and 6th, Saturday and Sunday. I do know that they are looking for some more volunteers, so if anybody feels like hanging out, what is going to be my birthday, so I won't be volunteering this year. The UAF is looking for some more volunteers.
Board Member Hughes.
Yeah, is the phone the only instrument used by, you said Spotify?
Datafy.
Datafy, okay.
So the phone is the main source of data. They also use credit card information, and then from that use algorithms to extrapolate larger data.
So they don't inquire of businesses or anything?
No,
like
they
that?
don't inquire in businesses. There is an add-on that we've been looking at exploring that directly includes Airbnb and VRBOs. And depending on the cost of that, we may include that because then you can see the occupancy rate, the number of turnover, and the number of guests actually visiting and
But
staying in those lodging providers.
The reason I asked that question is more input to more accurate your data is. And as a business who deals in that arena, I can tell you that the return customers have increased dramatically over other years. So. But is that a direct result of the COVID, or is it just something that's occurring naturally?
It's interesting. I think it has occurred naturally and then grew exponentially, but this is also just interpreting data willy-nilly. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I think it would be good to include, I mean, that's why data itself is never the only option or the only thing to think about. You also want to include case studies and talking to business owners, so I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Well, yeah, I have one. This is your first presentation before the board. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
My question was, did you hit the ground running?
Yeah, I did. It was really exciting. I definitely have followed in some great footsteps. So it was easy to start running. It wasn't just a cold sprint, to keep with that analogy.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Hope
thank
to hear
you.
lots more from you.
Thank you. And I do apologize if I talk really fast. I'm working on it. Also with that, we are hiring 2 full-time positions at the Chamber of Commerce, both the communications and the membership role. So anybody who's looking or thinking about a career change, feel free to share our information with them.
Are these publications out, or are these just sample?
Those are our samples for now. They'll be up here in about 2 weeks.
Some great photos in there.
Yeah, the cover photo is from Janessa Anderson again this year. We're really lucky to have such local talent to give us great photos every year. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to seal those 2 back though because they're only 2 copies.
So, Harbor Master's report?
Yeah, so my report's in the packet, and if anybody has any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask. I set it up.
I know, I'm sorry.
Oh, so it didn't make the packet?
No.
Okay. So I'll just touch on some things. So we were shut down on lifts because of the cold weather. Once it warms up, we get caught back up. I think we're only down a lift. We're going to start this week, it's warming back up.